As you can no doubt see by the map behind me, I'm in the war room, which is kind of fitting considering the topic that I'm going to speak on. The monologue that I'm going to give is more brief than the transcript that it springs from. I will include the full transcript in the description box. I just finished listening to CBC Radio's Ideas, hosted by Paul Kennedy. Tonight's show was probably a repeat and had to do with Christopher Hedges and his ideas on war. Hedges is a Pulitzer Prize-winning author and a former war correspondent for the New York Times. The reason he was on the Ideas program is because his views on war agree with those that are espoused by the CBC. The Americans are bad, their enemies are good. Basically, that's the position. The program is what you might call a mashup. Clips from a speech that Hedges gave at Ryerson University, and an interview with him about the subject of the speech, which was War is a Force That Gives Life Meaning. The title is a put down on all wars, even just wars, by the use of sarcasm. Hedges does not believe that just wars are possible. He calls the wars that we have engaged in of late revenge killings, which he denounces. I guess this means that he doesn't believe in bringing terrorists to justice. We condemn killers as subhuman savages, he complains. I guess we should be more polite when referring to people who fly jets into skyscrapers and who hack people's heads off in the name of Allah. Americans have decapitated more people than ISIS has, he maintains. He must be talking about so-called collateral damage. He does not notice the difference, which is this. During war, Americans try not to kill anyone but the terrorists. The terrorists, on the other hand, with or without the unofficial war, try to kill men, women, and children without distinction. Not surprisingly, Hedges is against Israel, not just America. He speaks of the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians as Israel's assaults on Gaza. He speaks of Israel's defensive maneuvers as if they were equal to beheadings. Israel does everything it can do to go around the children that Palestinians place before their weapons, and Hedges equates this to beheadings. I have written a fable about Israel's conflict with Muslims in Gaza. I have pasted the link to it in my description below. Hedges will not call himself a pacifist, which is kind of smart since he had 7 armed bodyguards to keep him safe in Iraq. He does not believe in war, but he is willing to have people risk their lives and to kill others if need be, just to keep him safe during a war. How convenient and contradictory. Hedges' opposition to war does not come from any solid argumentation. It comes from an emotional reaction that he had from being a war correspondent. He got burned out doing that job, so now he's against all war, no matter how just. He came close to suicide because of what he saw and experienced, and so now he's against war at any cost. Did he not choose his line of work? He should not foist his opinions on the public unless he can support them with something a little more substantial than a burnout. What's his answer to the ISIS problem? The same as President Barack Hussein Obama's. Vacate the Middle East. And what is happening over there? Muslim extremists are murdering everyone in their path in their object to take the Middle East over. Here is the Bible's position on war from Ecclesiastes 3:8. And I'll read it right from the Bible. Ecclesiastes 3:8. A time to love, a time to hate, a time of war, and a time of peace. When Muslim terrorists come after you with mean intentions, it's a time of war, just as Solomon said. Is the New Testament in conflict with that verse from Ecclesiastes? Hear this from Romans 13:4, again, right from the Bible. The Old and New Testaments agree. For he, the ruler that you find yourself under, is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Now, if our ruler is supposed to be a minister of God to us for good, and if it is not good for us to be beheaded by Muslim fanatics, then the minister of God should take revenge on Muslim fanatics who are out to behead us. And this has been a puritanical opinion on the subject of war as put forth by Christopher Hedges, Paul Kennedy, and the CBC.